My 29M girlfriend, 27F, destroyed me with one sentence. I think we're done. I'm shaking as I write this. I don't even know where to start, but I need to get this out somewhere because I can't talk to anyone right now. My girlfriend Caroline and I have been together for 3 years. We met right after college when we were both starting our careers. She's in marketing, I'm in software development. Things have been good, or at least I thought they were. Tonight we went to dinner at our friends Saul and Lily's place. They have this adorable 8-month-old daughter, Emma. I've always loved kids. I come from a big family and I've always pictured myself as a dad someday. It's never been a secret. During dinner, Emma started getting fussy and Lily was trying to eat, so I offered to hold her. She calmed down immediately and just sat there looking around with these huge, curious eyes. I was making silly faces at her, and she was giggling, and honestly it was the highlight of my week. Work's been brutal lately, and there was something so peaceful about just sitting there with this little person who was perfectly content to hang out. I guess I was smiling pretty big because Saul said something like, "Dan's got baby fever again." I laughed and said, "Can you blame me? Look at this little angel. I can't wait to have one of these someday." Lily grinned and nudged Saul. "See, I told you Danny would want another baby around here." Saul chuckled and raised his beer. "So when are you two going to make it official? Give Emma a little playmate." They were both looking at us expectantly, smiling like they were waiting for some big announcement. I felt my cheeks warm up, but in a good way. I looked over at Caroline, expecting to see her laughing or maybe rolling her eyes playfully at our friend's teasing. That's when Caroline spoke up from across the table. Her voice was different, cold in a way I'd never heard before. She said, "God, Danny, you look ridiculous. I'd rather die than have a baby with you." The room went dead silent. I mean, you could hear the dishwasher humming in the kitchen. Saul and Lily were staring at their plates like they wanted to disappear. Emma even stopped babbling. I thought maybe I misheard or she was joking in some way I didn't get. So I said, "What?" And she doubled down. She looked right at me and said, "You heard me. The thought of being stuck with your genetics, raising some mini version of you. No thanks. And honestly, looking at you right now, all goofy with that baby, it's embarrassing. You look like every basic suburban dad cliché. Your whole family looks like that, plain, boring, average. Why would I want to create more of that?" I don't remember much after that. I know I handed Emma back to Lily very carefully, like I was moving in slow motion. I mumbled something about needing air and walked outside. Caroline didn't follow me. I sat in my car for probably 20 minutes just trying to process what had happened. It wasn't just what she said about not wanting kids with me. That would have been devastating enough. It was the cruelty in her voice, the way she looked at me like I was something disgusting. And the stuff about my family. My dad's a mechanic, my mom's a nurse. They're good people. Hardworking, kind people. The way she said plain and average, like those were the worst things a person could be. I've been thinking about it for hours now, and I keep coming back to the same realization. She doesn't respect me. Maybe she never has. I thought we were building something together, but apparently she sees me as this embarrassing boyfriend she's settling for until something better comes along. The worst part is that I love her, or I thought I did. But you can't love someone who thinks so little of you, can you? Saul texted me around midnight asking if I was okay and saying Caroline left right after I did. She hasn't tried to contact me at all. I think I'm done. I think I have to be done. But 3 years. How do you just walk away from 3 years? Edit. Thank you all for the responses. I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. A lot of you are asking if she said things like this before, and honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah. Little comments here and there that I brushed off. About my job not being prestigious enough, about my friends being boring, about my hobbies being childish. I collect vintage video games. I always thought she was just teasing or trying to motivate me to be better. I see now that I was making excuses. For those asking what happened when I got home, she wasn't there. I found a note saying she's staying at her sister's place and we'll talk when you're ready to be rational about this. That pretty much tells me everything I need to know about how she sees the situation. Update 1. 3 weeks later. First, thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. A lot of you predicted exactly how things would play out, and you were right. So here's what happened. Caroline came back 2 days after the dinner incident. She acted like nothing had happened and seemed genuinely confused when I brought it up. She said I was overreacting and that she was just being honest about not being ready for kids yet. She tried to frame it as a timing issue, not a fundamental incompatibility. But here's the thing, she never apologized. Not once. She never acknowledged that what she said was cruel or that she had hurt me. Instead, she kept turning it back on me, saying I was too sensitive and that I needed to grow up if I wanted to be in an adult relationship. She was trying to make me believe that my hurt feelings were the problem, not her behavior. I broke up with her that same day. It was honestly one of the hardest things I've ever done. 3 years doesn't just disappear overnight. She was shocked. I don't think it ever occurred to her that I might actually leave. She went through the whole cycle: anger, bargaining, crying, more anger. She called me names I won't repeat here and said I'd never find anyone better than her. Then she tried to convince me that she'd changed her mind about kids and that we could work through this. But that's when I knew for sure that I was making the right choice. Because even in her attempts to win me back, it was all about what she could get me to accept, not about genuinely understanding why her words had hurt me so much. The moving process was brutal. We'd been living together for 8 months, so our lives were pretty tangled up. She made it as difficult as possible, hiding important documents, claiming things were hers that weren't, showing up with friends to help her pack when she knew I'd be there. Just petty, mean-spirited stuff designed to hurt me one last time. The worst part was how she talked about me to our mutual friends. According to Saul, she's been telling people that I couldn't handle an honest conversation about our future, and that I chose a hypothetical baby over a real relationship. It's infuriating, but I'm trying to take the high road. The people who matter know what really happened. I've been staying with my parents for the past 2 weeks while I look for a new place. It's humbling at 29, but they've been incredible. My dad, who Caroline called plain, spent his weekend helping me move my stuff and never once said, "I told you so," even though I know he never really liked her. My mom has been cooking my favorite meals and just being generally amazing. Being around them has reminded me of what real love and respect actually look like. I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling. Some days I wake up and for a split second I forget what happened, and I reach for my phone to text her good morning. Then reality hits. I miss having someone to share stupid memes with or complain about work to. I miss the physical intimacy. I miss the idea of the future we talked about, even though I now realize that future was never real. But I don't miss walking on eggshells around her moods. I don't miss second-guessing myself constantly. I don't miss feeling like I had to earn her affection every single day. I joined a gym near my parents' house and started rock climbing again. I used to love it in college, but Caroline always said it was too expensive and too time-consuming. It feels good to remember who I was before I spent 3 years trying to be someone she might actually respect. The dating apps are still deleted. I'm nowhere near ready for that. But for the first time in weeks, I can imagine a future where I'm genuinely happy, where I'm with someone who lights up when I talk about the things I'm passionate about, instead of rolling her eyes. Someone who would be excited about the possibility of building a family together, not disgusted by it. I know I dodged a bullet. If she'd hidden her true feelings until after we were married or had kids. I can't even imagine how much worse this would have been. Edit. A lot of people are asking about Saul and Lily. They've been amazing through this whole thing. Lily actually apologized for not speaking up that night, but honestly, what could she have said? Saul told me that after I left, Caroline complained about me for another hour, saying things like, "He's so dramatic, and he'll never find anyone who puts up with his neediness." They asked her to leave. These are good friends, and I'm grateful to have them. Update 2. 2 years later, I wasn't sure if I should post this update since so much time has passed, but I've gotten a lot of messages over the past couple of years asking how I'm doing. Today feels like the right day to share because exactly 2 years ago, I was convinced my life was over. Instead, it was just beginning. So, where am I now? I'm married to the most incredible woman in the world, and we just welcomed our daughter Sophie 3 weeks ago. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. during a feeding, and I've never been happier to be exhausted in my life. Let me back up and tell you how I got here. After my breakup with Caroline, I spent about 6 months really focusing on myself. The therapy Lily suggested was a game changer. I worked through a lot of stuff about people pleasing and why I'd accepted such disrespectful treatment for so long. I got back into rock climbing seriously and even started competing in local competitions. I moved into my own apartment, nothing fancy, but it was mine. Most importantly, I rediscovered who I was outside of that relationship. I started reading again. Caroline always said my sci-fi books were juvenile. I got back into cooking, which I'd loved in college. I reconnected with old friends Caroline had slowly isolated me from. I wasn't actively looking for anyone new. I was just trying to become the best version of myself. Then, about 8 months after the breakup, I was browsing at this little independent bookstore near my apartment. I was looking for a gift for my nephew's birthday when I overheard a woman on the phone talking to what was clearly a worried parent. She was saying things like, "Mrs. Peterson, I promise you, it's completely normal for kids to struggle with reading at this stage. Marcus is going to be fine, but here are some books that might help." She was obviously a teacher, and she was so patient and reassuring with this parent who was probably calling after hours on a weekend. Something about her voice, the kindness in it, made me look up. She was probably my age, with long brown hair and these warm green eyes, wearing a simple sundress and cardigan. When she hung up, she looked a little embarrassed that I'd overheard. I said, "Teacher," and she nodded. "3rd grade," she said. Sometimes parents worry more than the kids do. We started talking, and I found out her name was Diana. She taught at an elementary school about 10 minutes from my apartment. She was there looking for books for her classroom library. We ended up talking for 2 hours, sitting on the floor between the bookshelves like we were teenagers. She was funny and smart and passionate about her work. She told me stories about her students that had me laughing until my sides hurt. When the store was closing, I asked if she wanted to get coffee sometime. She said yes immediately, with this genuine smile that made my chest feel warm. Our first date was at a little cafe near her school. We talked about everything, our families, our jobs, our dreams. When I mentioned that I'd always wanted kids, her face lit up. She told me she'd gotten into teaching because she loved working with children, and that someday she hoped to have a big family of her own. 3 or 4 kids, she said, maybe more if we can handle it. I remember thinking, this is what it feels like when someone shares your dreams instead of mocking them. We took things slow. After Caroline, I was honestly a little gun-shy about trusting my judgment. But Diana was consistently kind, consistently respectful. When I told her about my rock climbing competitions, she came to watch and cheered louder than anyone. When I cooked dinner for her, she asked for the recipes to share with her mom. She remembered little details about my family and asked about them regularly. About 4 months in, I told her about Caroline and what had happened. I was nervous. But she just held my hand and said, "I'm so sorry someone treated you that way, but I'm also grateful because it led you to me." We moved in together after a year of dating. We got engaged 6 months after that. Diana wanted a small wedding, just family and close friends, and it was perfect. Saul was my best man, and in his speech he said, "I've never seen Danny as happy as he is with Diana. She sees the best in him and he blooms around her." And now we have Sophie. She's 3 weeks old and absolutely perfect. She has Diana's green eyes and what looks like it might be my dark hair. Watching Diana with her is incredible. She's such a natural mother, so calm and intuitive. And me? I'm completely besotted. Every little sound she makes, every tiny expression just melts me completely. The other night, I was doing a late feeding while Diana slept, and Sophie was looking up at me with those serious baby eyes, and I started crying. Happy tears, but still. I kept thinking about that night at Saul and Lily's when Caroline told me I looked ridiculous holding a baby. Now I can't imagine anything that feels more right than this. Diana found me crying and asked what was wrong. I told her I was just thinking about how different my life could have been, how I almost stayed with someone who would have denied me this happiness. She said, "You know what I think? I think everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to. You had to learn what you didn't want so you could recognize what you did want when you found it." She's right. If Caroline hadn't been so cruel that night, I might have stayed with her for years longer, trying to convince myself that her version of love was enough. I would have missed Diana entirely. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing in disguise. Edit. Thank you all so much for the congratulations and kind words. Several people have asked if I've heard from Caroline since then. The answer is no, and I hope to keep it that way. I heard through mutual friends that she's had several serious relationships that didn't work out, but that's none of my business anymore. For those asking about Saul and Lily, they're doing great. Emma is now almost 3 and is absolutely adorable. They've been incredible friends throughout this whole journey. Final update. 1 year later. I never thought I'd be back here with another update, but something happened yesterday that felt like the final chapter of this story. Yesterday was Sophie's first birthday party. We had it at our house. Nothing huge, just close family and friends. Diana had decorated everything in a sunshine theme because Sophie is our little ray of sunshine. The backyard looked amazing, and Sophie was in her element, toddling around in her yellow party dress, getting spoiled by everyone. About an hour into the party, while I was helping Sophie blow out her candle, Diana came up behind me and whispered, "Danny, there's someone at the front door asking for you." I handed Sophie to my mom and went to see who it was. When I opened the door, I honestly couldn't process what I was seeing for a moment. It was Caroline. She looked different, older obviously, but also somehow smaller than I remembered. She was dressed nicely, holding a gift bag, and she had this nervous smile on her face that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Hi, Danny," she said. "I know this is unexpected. I hope it's okay that I came." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "Caroline, what are you doing here?" She looked past me toward the house where you could hear the sounds of the party. "I heard about your daughter," she said. "Sophie, right? I wanted to congratulate you and bring her a gift." "How did you even know where I live?" "I ran into Saul a few weeks ago. He mentioned the party." She held up the gift bag. "I got her some books, age-appropriate ones." I have to admit I was stunned. Not just that she was there, but by her whole demeanor. The Caroline I remembered was always so confident, sometimes aggressively so. This version seemed almost fragile. "I appreciate the gesture," I said carefully, "but I don't think this is appropriate. It's my daughter's birthday party." I know, I'm not asking to come in or anything. She took a deep breath. "I wanted to apologize for how things ended between us. For the things I said." I waited because I could tell there was more. "I've been doing a lot of therapy over the past couple of years," she continued, "working through some stuff, and I realized that the way I treated you was terrible. You didn't deserve that. You were just being honest about what you wanted, and I made you feel ashamed of it." "Okay," I said. I wasn't sure what else to say. "I was scared," she said suddenly. "Of commitment, of being tied down, of becoming ordinary. I thought if I could make you want less, I wouldn't have to face my own fears about the future, but that wasn't fair to you." I could hear Sophie laughing from the backyard, and it reminded me of where I was supposed to be. "Caroline, I appreciate you coming here to say this, but are you happy?" she interrupted. "I mean, really happy." I thought about Diana, who was probably cutting cake right now and making sure everyone felt welcome. I thought about Sophie, who'd been walking for 2 months now and filled our house with joy every single day. I thought about the life we were building together, full of the ordinary, beautiful moments that Caroline had been so afraid of. "Yes," I said, "I really am." She nodded, and I saw something in her face, not jealousy exactly, but maybe regret. "I can tell. You look content, settled in a good way." "I am. I made a lot of mistakes after we broke up," she said quietly. "I kept thinking I wanted someone successful, someone exciting, someone who would make me feel special. But I never found anyone who looked at me the way you used to look at me." I felt a pang of something, not longing, but maybe sadness for the pain she was clearly carrying. I'm sorry it's been hard for you. Don't be sorry for me, I made my choices. She held out the gift bag again. Would you give this to Sophie? There's no card or anything, I just thought every little girl should have lots of books. I took the bag. Thank you. I should go, she said. I hope she has a wonderful birthday. And Danny. I'm genuinely happy for you. You got everything you wanted. She turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I think you would have been an amazing father no matter who you ended up with. But from what Saul says about Diana, Sophie is lucky to have both of you. And then she was gone, walking down the street to wherever she'd parked. I stood there for a moment, holding the gift bag and trying to process what had just happened. Then I heard Diana calling my name from the backyard, and I went back to the party. Who was it? She asked when I found her. Caroline, I said simply. Diana's eyebrows went up, but she didn't look upset, just curious. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, and I meant it. She came to apologize and bring Sophie a gift. She's gone now. Diana nodded and squeezed my hand. Good for her for apologizing. That must have been hard. This is why I love my wife. No drama, no jealousy, no making it about her. Just genuine empathy and trust in me to handle the situation. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and Sophie was asleep, Diana and I were cleaning up in the kitchen. I told her the whole conversation with Caroline word for word. Do you think she's genuinely sorry? Diana asked. I think so, yeah. She seemed different. Sadder maybe, but more self-aware. Are you glad she came? I thought about it. You know what? I think I am. Not because I needed her apology, I'd already moved past all that, but because it felt like closure, I guess. Like the last page of an old chapter finally getting written. Diana smiled and kissed my cheek. Well, I'm glad she apologized. You deserved that. And that was it. No big dramatic confrontation, no reopening of old wounds. Just a moment of acknowledgement between two people who used to share a life and now don't. I think what struck me most was how little I felt when I saw Caroline. Not anger, not longing, not even much curiosity about her life now. Just a kind of neutral recognition, like running into an old coworker. The intense emotions I used to have about her have been completely replaced by the fullness of the life I have now. 3.5 years ago, I thought losing her was the end of the world. Now I can see it was just the end of a chapter I'd outgrown anyway. Sophie turns 1 today. In her short life, she's brought more joy and purpose into my world than I ever thought possible. Diana and I are already talking about when to try for baby number 2. We want Sophie to have siblings, want our house to be full of the chaos and laughter that comes with a big family. This is the life Caroline has once been disgusted by, ordinary, suburban, basic. And she was right about one thing, it is ordinary. Wonderfully, beautifully ordinary, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I think Caroline wants me back. Honestly, I don't think so. I think she's just someone who's been through some difficult years and is trying to make amends for past mistakes. It felt genuine to me, not manipulative. Thank you all for following this journey over the years. This will be my final update on this story. Time to focus on the future instead of the past. Thanks for everything, Reddit.